Number 8. Yatinda kilo patraving sitosiya Chatubhivate asampakampiyo Tatupamang sappurisang vadami Yo ariya satchani avecca passati Idampi sanghe ratanang panitang Etena satchena suvatti hotu Together Yathinda kilo pataving sitosiya Chatu bhivate bhiya sampakampiyo Tatu pamang sappurisang vadami Yo ariya satchani avecca passati Idampi sanghe ratanang panitang Etena satchena suvatti hotu. Just as a firm post sunk in the earth cannot be shaken by the four winds, I say that a good person who thoroughly perceives the noble truths is similar to that. In the Sangha is this precious jewel found. On account of this truth, may there be happiness. Very simple English. Unshakable mind. By realizing the Four Noble Truths. This is the only meaning of this stanza. Whether that person is a monk or layman makes no difference. Always we allow our mind to be perturbed or disturbed due to lack of understanding of these Four Noble Truths. Or we create undue or unnecessary fear or suspicion in our mind due to lack of understanding of Noble Truths. Again we create enemies through argument, heated argument, hurt others' feeling. After that, we suffer. We harbor more hatred. Then continue. Add more and more rubbish. Aggravate the situation. If we can understand the Four Noble Truths, we can avoid that unfortunate situation also. Here the parable is given just as a firm post sunk in the earth cannot be shaken by the four wind. What do you mean by four wind? How many kinds of winds are there? Can you say what is the meaning of four wind? Cannot. So simple. The winds come from 4 directions. That is called four wind. It's a very funny translation. Then a wind cannot shake that firm post which is sunk in the earth because it is very strong. When once we established our mind through Four Noble Truths, I think all of you know the meaning of Four Noble Truths, and that mind become unshakable, not so easy to disturb, not so easy to provoke, not so easy to create temptation, and not so easy to create enmity or anger in our mind, because the mind can tolerate all these things. So, Mangala Sutta, when we were discussing, also we recite as one particular stanza in Mangala Sutta. Solid rocks which can stand firmly in spite of heavy wind or storm, remain as unshakable objects. That is the nature of a mind of a person who has attained sainthood. Here, although people have not attained sainthood yet, still they can maintain some sort of firmness or understanding by realizing the Four Noble Truths. So what are the Four Noble Truths? Let me repeat. The first one is, what is the first one? Either in Pali or English or Vadumira Dukkha. By realizing in everything there is some sort of unsatisfactoriness. It is true. This unsatisfactoriness or frustration, disappointment, we experience after gaining anything whatever we want. If not, in the end, separation, create disappointment, unsatisfactoriness. So if we can understand this, then we can tolerate certain things by thinking this is natural, this is common to every living being in this world. This unsatisfactoriness. Second one, what is the second noble truth? If there is unsatisfactoriness in our mind, there must be a cause. There must be reason for that. Simply, frustration or unsatisfactoriness may appear. What is that cause? What is that? Our own craving. If there is no craving, we never get disappointment or unsatisfactory or never get fed up also. When we reduce our craving, we can understand this. Who is responsible for our disappointment? It is true. No one can deny this. Third one. What is the third one? The end of unsatisfactoriness. End of unsatisfactoriness means nirvana. Wherever we remain, either as human beings, or Deva, or Brahma, or any other powerful or supernatural living beings in this universe, also experience some sort of unsatisfactoriness. Because everything is impermanent, changeable. If everything is changeable, impermanent, then followed by unsatisfactoriness. The life that they spend in heaven, Devaloka, they can experience that wonderful life for a long period. But one day there will be an end to it. Then unsatisfactory. The life that Brahmas experience in Brahma realm or Brahma world, more peace, more happiness, more satisfaction, more calmness in their life. And also means to an end, not permanent. Again, disappointment, unsatisfactory. As human beings, almost every minute we experience this in our day-to-day affairs, household affairs, family life, business, where you work, when you go out, when you associate with others, when you work with others, always create disappointment, unsatisfactory. This moment you gain happiness. Next moment, within few seconds, you experience unsatisfactoriness, unhappiness. And this is the nature of human life. Everybody is experiencing this. So only solution is the knowledge that we gain through religion, to understand why these things take place, why these things are changeable, why these things are unreliable, why these things are what you call going on changing, why we cannot control them, why we cannot maintain and keep them. Because religion tells you this is the nature of existence. So when we develop this understanding, you know how to face them. Young people like to remain as young forever without growing old, isn't it? Yes, certainly. And they want to maintain their youth, their complexion, their beauty, their features without changing. This is a dream they create in their mind because of craving. But when they come to know that they are getting old, grey hairs, wrinkles, then they worry, unsatisfactory, unhappiness. But this is natural. So the Dhamma teaches why these things change, why these things cannot remain forever. So our craving creates the unsatisfactory. One who has developed this understanding reduce, minimize this unhappiness. To reduce this unsatisfactoriness, the Buddha has taught us a very good lesson earlier. What is this lesson? If we know how to contemplate or concentrate or meditate on four important points, then we can reduce this unsatisfactoriness. I have explained already, but I don't think you can remember. These things we have to repeat again and again. Jara Dhammommi, Vyadi Dhammommi, Marana Dhammommi. Three occurrences in our life which are common to everybody. No one is free. So, when we are free, we contemplate. Contemplate means we reflect or we meditate, thinking these three things. My body is not free from old age, decay. My body is subject to decay. It is natural, common to every living being in this universe. Then go on meditating and meditating and meditating. After some times, the mind gets used to it. Then one day, when we come to know that we are getting old, we don't worry. Because the mind knew this. We train the mind to face this. You cannot run away from that. Next one. Vyadi dhammommi vyadin anatitoti abhinnam paccayukita. Sicknesses. We like to live without suffering from sicknesses. But no one can live without suffering from certain sicknesses. That is also natural. Because sicknesses appear due to the imbalance of elements in our body, or energies and elements in our body. Clashes, friction, are then sicknesses appear. Not created by anybody. It is natural. Some people can maintain a little bit of healthy life because they have very well balanced physical body and elements. But many others have to suffer from various sicknesses throughout their life. So we go on thinking and meditating on this. So when sicknesses come to us, we don't worry, we don't bother. But we take necessary precautions or medicine, but we don't worry. Because we have trained the mind to face. It is meditation. Marana dhammommi maranam nanatitoti abhinnam. Marana, death. Death is natural. No one can stop death. No one can escape from death. Although everybody likes to escape from it. Every moment we are fighting, struggling to escape from our death. But we continue this battle for a long period. In the end, we surrender. We have to face it. Why we don't like death? It is due to our ignorance. We are scared of death. Anyway, it's not nice to talk about death. Your Chinese New Year is coming. Some people, they don't talk about death. You know, these Chinese New Year coming. They are hypocrites, self-hypocrites, you know. We had to think and train the mind. So, death is not painful. Of course, you must understand. People take death as a miserable thing and created that concept in the mind that death is miserable. Why we don't like? We don't like to separate from our property, from our money, from our land, from our houses, from our jewelry, from our husbands and wife and children. That is why we don't like to die. It is not that death is bad or wicked. That is the reason. Those who have reduced all these attachments are waiting to welcome this. To them it is a very big release. This is the nature. That is why we train the mind. Death is natural. One day it will come to us. When it comes, we must know how to face it without crying, without worrying, without grumbling. Face it. Renew your passport. So you get new passport. Then why do you worry about it? All right, third one. What is the fourth one? Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavo. There are beloved one, things which we like so much, especially husbands and wife and boyfriends and girlfriends and children and valuable things. So one day, when we had to separate from them, that separation creates a lot of worries, disturbances, because of too much of attachment. So, when we develop this meditation, thinking, whatever beloved person or things that we like so much, one day definitely we had to separate. If not earlier, after our death, separate from it. It is natural. So without worrying, without grumbling, without complaining, train our mind. When that separation takes place, not to worry, not to lament, not to complain, not to go mad. That is the advantage of this meditation. Last one. Kammassa komi kamma dayado kamma yoni kamma bandhu kamma patisarano. Kammang satte vibhajati yadidan hina panitati. My own karma is responsible for my life, but not another person's karma. Karma means good and bad action that we have done. My pleasant and unpleasant experiences I had to face according to my own karma. Discriminations and differences take place among the mankind because of this karma. All are not equal. There are so many differences physically and mentally. These differences or discrimination take place due to their own karma, action, good and bad actions. So when we contemplate and meditate on this, we train the mind to avoid or not to do bad things, to do good things. These are the 5 very important points taught by the Buddha for us to meditate. This meditation strengthens our mind to face natural occurrences which we cannot stop. There is nobody in this universe who can stop it. God also cannot stop. The Buddha also cannot stop. Because all these are natural occurrences. That is how the world exists. That is Dharma, taught by the Buddha. Here, when the mind is strong enough to face these natural occurrences, then we have already realized, understood the real meaning of Four Noble Truths. And the method introduced by the Buddha to see the end of all our suffering which we don't like, which create unsatisfactoriness, which create worries and disturbances. This is the method. What is that Eighth Noble Path? It is not by praying or worshipping to anybody. It doesn't work in that way. But by following, practicing these 8 methods taught by the Buddha to see the end of all our suffering. After that, worries and fear and disturbances, unsatisfactoriness never appear in that mind. Now, we spend our whole life, day and night, what to do and how to avoid these worries, these disturbances, these unsatisfactory and unpleasant situations. These are the things always work in our mind. So we can understand what sort of release, happiness or satisfaction that we can experience when those worries and disturbances are no more. Then you can ask what it is. What is this satisfaction? What is that happiness? Then I give a simple example, then you can understand very easily. Assume you have a very painful wound in your body, very painful. What you want is to get rid of this pain, heal this wound. After applying all sort of medicines, you could manage to heal this wound and get rid of your pain. Now no more pain. When somebody come and ask, how's your wound? It's okay? Oh, it is okay now, I feel very nice. Now can you tell me, what is that nice that you mentioned? Very nice. Where is that? You said very nice. Where is it? What it is? Can you tell me? Correct. Very nice means no more pain. Can't you understand this? When there is no more pain, we say very nice. That is nirvana. If you cannot understand what is nirvana, this is the example. When there are no physical or mental pain, worries and disturbances and troubles, then you can say very nice. Then what it is? If you need a word for that, it is nirvana. Free from all our physical and mental pain and trouble. But now, every second, we are experiencing some sort of worries or some sort of pain. You cannot say no. So when we develop our mind, we experience. Here this sayings of the Buddha in Ratana Sutta, he says when the mind is developed through understanding of Four Noble Truths, that mind is very unshakable and disturbances. Here 4 winds means worldly disturbances. which created by people, created by other living beings, created by climate, or created by various other external sources, or planet, or sun, and the moon, and galaxies, and rain. So many disturbances come. But the mind is strong. We can face all these disturbances without grumbling, without complaining. This is the development. Next one. Number 9. Follow me. Ye ariya satchani vibhavayanti gambhira panyena sudesitani kinchapite hanti busappamatta nate bhavang attamang adiyanti idampi sanghe ratnang panitang etena saccena suatti hotu. Together. Ye ariya sattani vibhavayanti gambhira panyena sudesitani kinchapite hanti busappamatta nate bhavang attamang adiyanti idampi sanghe ratnang panitang etena saccena suatti hotu. Those who clearly understand the noble truths, well taught by him means by the Buddha, who has absolute knowledge, do not undergo an 8th birth, no matter how exceedingly heedless they may be. In the Sangha is this precious jewel found. On account of this truth, may there be happiness. Another aspect. Those who clearly understand the noble truth, are still talking about the Four Noble Truths, well taught by him who has absolute knowledge, do not undergo an 8th birth. That means, can you understand this? Person who has attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapan, by eradicating 3 mental disturbances, it is mentioned here. If that person has not attained arahanthood or the final sainthood, rebirth cannot take place for more than 7 times. That is why say there is no 8th birth for him. Rebirth never takes place 8 times. After 7th, that person must attain higher stage of sainthood. That is the idea. Because strong three mental bondages, fetters were cut off. Therefore, mental energy and cravings are powerless, become powerless to carry forward these life process. Maximum 7 times. That is the idea. Then, no matter how exceedingly heedless they may be, in the Sangha is this precious jewel found. In the Sangha means Sangha who have attained this first stage of sainthood. They may neglect certain other things, but they have already cut off 3 strong mental bondages which hold them bound to this world because of these bondages. Now we cannot get up or get rid or go upward because of these bondages. We are bound to this world with these ties. So we have to cut off all these things. Then it is like this. You know, rubber, this balloon, when you tie with a string, floating and floating and floating, but cannot go up because there is a tie, tighten. So when you cut off this one, goes up freely. So our life is exactly like this. Remain here and there floating because of these bondages. And one day when we cut off these bondages, upward journey. Upward means by reducing the burdens and responsibilities and worries and sufferings. That is called upward journey. So this person who has attained the first stage of sainthood, there is guarantee. And today, in our case, there is no such guarantee. If we have not attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, because our minds are unreliable. Today we are good, we are religious minded, but there is no guarantee tomorrow what will happen to us, how we change our mind. When temptation arises, we change our mind. When somebody come and disturb us, provoke us, we change our mind. That is the uncertainty. So that situation remains until we attain the first stage of sainthood. After attaining that first stage, we never change the mind. So, rebirth cannot take place more than 7 times. Before that, must attain Arahanta or sainthood or Nirvana. Next one. Number 10. Sahavassa dassana sampadaya tayasu dhamma jahita bhavanti sakkaya ditthi vicikiccitanca silabbataṃ vāpi yadatti kinci jatu apaye ca vippamutto cecabitana bhabbo katum idampi sanghe ratnam panitam etena saccena suvaddhi hotu. Together. Sahavasadasana sampadaya tayasu dhamma jaita bhavanti sakkaya ditti vicikiccitanca silabbatam vapi yadatti kinci Jatu appaye vipamutto jajabhitanani abhabbo khatum idampi sanghe ratnam panitam etena saccena suvaddhi hotu. Together with his attainment of insight, three qualities have been abandoned, namely belief in self, doubt, and dependence on wrong rites and ceremonies. He is absolutely free from the four states of misery and is incapable of committing the 6 deadly crimes. In the Sangha is this precious jewel found. On account of this truth, may there be happiness. Some more good qualities. So one who has attained the first stage of sainthood possesses some more good qualities. To attain the first stage of sainthood, here it is mentioned, we have to eradicate or we have to get rid of 3 bondages: sakkaya ditthi, vicikiccha, silabbata, paramasa. These are the 3. I explained the other day. Sakkaya ditthi, belief in self or soul. That is un-Buddhistic. If we think that there is a soul which goes to heaven or hell or ghost world or anywhere, that is not Buddhism. As long as we maintain that belief, we cannot attain the first stage of sainthood. We must realize that is only imagination. Just because people have not studied the nature of human mind. When we analyze and understand the nature of human mind and activities, then we can understand the belief in soul or self is imagination created by the man because of that lack of understanding. That is the first. Again, egoism. We have a very strong egoistic attitude. I, my, name, publicity, fame. We are crazy for this. Now if my photo appear in the newspaper, I cut this one and show to all the others, look at, did you see this? That is egoism. And again, I have done so much, my photo, my name is not there. That is egoism. I did this, not you. Egoism. So that egoism can create so much problem. Anger, enmity, misunderstanding, calamities, violence, because of that I, my. We had to reduce that. Skeptical doubt means without studying, without analyzing, without considering, without using sense of reasoning, simply we say we don't believe, we don't trust, we don't believe. That is called skeptical doubt. The belief is already crystallized in the mind that I don't believe, and no vacuum to study or to think, to understand. That is why it is dangerous. So the Buddha always advised us to keep vacuum. Don't say at once, yes, I believe, or yes, I don't believe. Don't say. So the Buddha always advised us to keep vacuum. Don't say at once, yes, I believe, or yes, I don't believe. Don't say. Give time to study, to observe, to think and analyze. Later you will come to know whether it is true or not. It is a beautiful advice. So, we should not maintain such belief. Say, when you talk about rebirth, you can say, yes, as Buddhists we believe it, but you don't know anything about rebirth. You just believe it. Some others say we don't believe. They also say they don't believe without study. Before they say no, they must study and observe and investigate whether it is possible or not, whether we have enough evidence or not. So we have to get rid of such skeptical doubt. Next one, Silabbata Paramasa depend on meaningless rites and rituals and ceremonies. Cling to this. They think we must do this. Otherwise there is no salvation, no relief. We have to fulfill. By performing these rites and rituals, we can wash away our sin, we can send them to heaven, we can bring them back from hell. This kind of belief. Buddhism never supports this idea. You have to use your knowledge and understanding and your effort without depending on rites and rituals and ceremonies. These are the three things. So when these three bondages were cut off, no more, then only you get the chance to attain the first stage of sainthood. After attaining this, here it is mentioned, he is absolutely freed from the four states of miseries. The person who has attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, is free. Four states of woeful state. What are those four? Naraka, Tirachina, Preta, Asura. That means one who has attained this first stage of sainthood, although rebirth can take place 7 times, rebirth never take place in hell, never become an animal, never become a spirit or ghost. These are 4 miserable, unfortunate states. Now completely free. But in our case, we cannot say we are free, because we have not attained this sainthood here. I told you the reason. Reason is mind is very shaky. I cannot trust my own mind, and you cannot trust your own mind. That is the problem. Then another thing. Incapable of committing 6 deadly crimes. It is mentioned here, the footnote. That person may commit certain other bad karmas. One who has attained Sotapanna, the first stage of sainthood, may, under certain circumstances, they may commit certain other bad karma. But not any of these 6. They never. What are those 6? Matrugataka, Pitrugataka, Arahanta Gataka, and Sanghaveda, and shaking blood from the Buddha's body. These are very dangerous. These are called mortal sins. Here mentioned we have used another, deadly crimes. We don't use the word mortal here. Deadly crimes. Very heavy, very strong. And no one can escape. After committing one of these 6, they try to do any amount of good karma to overcome. It is impossible. No one can overcome. No one can stop the bad effect immediately after death. Now that is the date. King Ajatasattu, he was misled by Devadatta, one of the disciples of the Buddha, Buddha's cousin brother. Very wicked. That young prince was misled, persuaded him to kill his own father to become the king earlier. So that young prince accepted his advice and killed his own father by torturing him. Later, he realized his mistake. He became a follower of the Buddha. And he has supported the first Buddhist council, which was held 3 months after passing away of the Buddha in Gijjakuta rock. He has given his full support for this council to repeat 45 years teachings of the Buddha, first Buddhist council. He has done endless meritorious deeds by thinking that he can overcome. But it doesn't work. But nobody told him. Allow him to maintain some sort of confidence or satisfaction in his life. But after committing one of these, that person cannot escape without paying for what he has done. But another thing, and this is the uniqueness in Buddhism, there is no eternal punishment anywhere, in hell or anywhere. And not justifiable. There must be an end. There must be reasonable punishment, but not eternal. Give them another chance. Due to our ignorance, craving, we make mistake, terrible mistake. Is it justifiable to send us to eternal hell to suffer there forever? So the Buddha says, all those who have committed these mortal sins or deadly crimes suffer for a long period. But one day there will be an end to it. When they come back, again they can start experiencing the good result of the good karma they have done. Now Devadatta, who tried to kill the Buddha 3 times, shaken the blood from his body, done so many bad karmas. So according to the Buddha, he had to suffer in hell. But when he come back after paying for what he has done, the Buddha says he will become one of the Pacceka Buddhas. Because he has done lot of merit, cultivated his mind, but not completely purified the mind. That's why I told you, mind is very, very unreliable. Person who has attained the jhana stages through meditation, Devadatta, he misused this jhanic power for his personal gain. What about others? It's very difficult to handle this human mind. So, all the good deeds that he has done remain in the waiting list. So when he is released, again he starts his noble way of life. Now this is the Buddhist attitude. So these are the 6 kind of deadly crimes or mortal sins. Killing our own father by knowing this is our father. Killing our own mother. Killing an arahant, a saint who has attained the highest stage of sainthood. And shaking blood from the Buddha's body, because no one can kill a Buddha. The Buddhas must face natural death. Another person cannot kill, but can injure. Devadatta has done injuries and shaken the blood. Then the other one is only for the monks, not for lay people. Lay people cannot commit this. It will become ordinary bad karma, but not a mortal karma to lay people. Creating dispute or enmity among the Sangha community and divide them into 2 groups. This is a very bad karma, but if you have done this, to you it is an ordinary bad karma. If I do this, to me it will become a mortal sin. Deadly crimes. Devadatta has done that also. Divided the Sangha community into 2 groups, rival parties. Last one is more dangerous. Micchaditti. Micchaditti means wrong belief, wrong concept, wrong ideas maintained in the mind. Because of this wrong concept, people can create any amount of bad deeds. There are 10, I explained I think the other day, 10 kinds of wrong concept that many people maintain in their mind. Take one. Why should we give to others? As charity or contribution or donation or dana, why should we give? We don't want to give anything, no meaning at all. this kind of belief. Again, people say good deeds create good result, bad deeds create bad result. Good karma and bad karma. Some people say we don't believe it. Therefore we can do anything whatever we like. Let us enjoy our life. We don't believe that good begets good and bad begets bad. That is Micchaditti, wrong concept which paved the way for people to commit any kind of bad deeds. Again, the belief that some people maintain this is the only life. We never existed before and we will never exist again. Enjoy our life as much as possible without wasting this life. This kind of wrong concept. Every idea among these 10 pave the way for people to do more and more bad deeds and mislead others. Encourage others also to do bad things. So one who has attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna, never commit, or it is impossible to commit. It is not that purposely they don't commit. Impossible, because they cannot create such idea in their mind. That is why it is mentioned here. It is incapable of committing the 6 deadly crimes. In the Sangha is this precious jewel. Therefore, the Sangha who have attained this sainthood, Sotapanna, they are holy and they are, they have very strong mind and they always try to avoid bad things. They always try to do some service to others. So, regarded as precious jewel. That is why people respect them, offer something and bow down by considering their good qualities and virtues that they have achieved. Next one, number 11. Kinam Kincapi sokamam karoti papakam kayena vaca udaceta sava abhabbo sotas paticchādāya abhabbata dittha padassa rutta idampi sanghe ratanam panitam etena saccena suvaddhi hotu kincapi sokammam karoti papakam kayena vaca udaceta sava abhabbo sotassa paticchādāya abhabbata dittha padassa rutta idampi sanghe ratanam panitam etena saccena suvaddhi hotu. He is incapable of hiding whatever evil he does, whether by deed, words or thoughts. For it has been said that such an act is impossible for one who has seen the path. On account of this truth, may there be happiness. This is another important point. Just now I told you, one who has attained the first stage of sainthood may make some mistake or may create some bad karma, because not completely purify the mind. That is why it says, if they happen to do certain bad deeds, either by the mind or the words or action. Mind alone can create bad karma without doing anything, certain thing. Words alone can do a lot of bad karma. And action or body create bad karma without, not means using the physical body. There are three. Abhijja, Vyapada, Micchaditti, by the mind. Three things by the mind, without doing anything, without uttering even one word. Ill will. Ill will means the grudge, enmity, hatred that we keep in our mind by thinking to take revenge. These evil thoughts create bad karma without doing anything. Remember, it is very dangerous. Abhijja, poisonous craving, not ordinary craving. People create such kind of craving by thinking, how nice if they die, so that I can take their things. That is why it is called poisonous craving. Sons or daughters may think, how nice if our father died earlier, we can enjoy our property. That is called poisonous craving. Again, another aspect. Some people are willing to destroy, burn their valuable things without allowing others to use. It is craving. Craving and jealousy and so many evil forces come together. So they are willing to destroy and burn everything, don't allow others to enjoy. Also under this category. There are many people we have seen. Then the Micchaditti, just now I explained. Wrong concept, wrong belief we maintain in our mind without doing anything. Create bad karma. So three things by the mind create bad karma. And by using our body, Pranagata, Paradabba, Paradar, three. Three by the mind, three by using our body, destroying others' life. Sexual misconduct and stealing. Three things. Only body can do it. Destroying life. Wordings are wrong. We cannot destroy life. Life is an energy. We cannot destroy life. Then what we do? We separate the life from the body. That is called killing, destroy. Otherwise we cannot destroy life. Now life and body exist together. When you do something, then the life separate from this body. That is called death. Destroy, but not life. Life separated, but we are responsible for it. Then stealing, not only stealing, there are so many other things that we do. Bluffing, swindling, cheating, smuggling, all are under this category. No one is free from the bad effect, bad reaction. Then sexual misconduct. 3. Then by using our word, 4. That means we commit more bad karma by using our word, our mouth, than the mind and the body. Mouth is more dangerous. Musa, Pesunya, Parusa, Sampappala. 4 things. Telling lies, slandering, harsh, wicked, cruel, vulgar word, frivolous talk or gossiping, wasting our valuable human life. All these 4 channels create bad karma. So, this person who has attained the stage of sainthood may commit some of them, because their minds are not completely purified. Still there are some impurities in their mind. Craving also still there. If happen to commit one of these, their good quality is, but they never hide. Not here, what is mentioned here. Impossible for them to hide. Impossible means they never do that. So we are hypocrites. We always hide. When others come and ask also we say no. By telling no, we commit another bad karma. It is lie. Understand? That is a wrong attitude. Assume we have done some bad thing. When others come and discuss with us, we should not say nothing wrong with that. We should not justify nothing wrong. By doing that, you mislead others. You have to tell, yes, I did that, I know it is wrong, but I try not to repeat. Then it is a good attitude. Then you don't mislead others. You allow others also to understand that it is wrong. Just because of your egoism, you say, there's nothing wrong. What harm is there? It is wrong. If not, you say, no, I didn't do that. Can you prove? I didn't do that. So, Sotapanna, first stage of sainthood, person who attained, never hide, admit, yes, I did that, I had to do that, I know it is wrong, I try not to repeat. That is their attitude. But after attaining the higher stage, Arahantas, they never commit. Because they have attained perfection. They are perfect, never commit bad karma. the honesty, sincerity. Next one. Oh, cannot. Before the new year, somehow the new year we must complete this one. 9:30, I think better to stop. So next Friday, number 12, I think can finish. Yeah. Next Friday. Yeah, sharing of merit, 211. Following, join. Imina punya kammena upajjaya gunuttara acharya upakarace mata pita piya mamam Suryo Chandi Maharaja Gunavanta Narapiche Brahma Maharaja Indache Lokapalacha Deva Yamo Mitra Manusache Madhyata Verika Piche Sabve Satta Sukhi Hantu Punyani Pakatani Me Sukhanche Sividam Dentu Hipang Papeta Romakang Imina Punya Kambena Imina Uddhisena Ce Kippahang Sulabhe Jeva Vadana Kedanam Ye Santane Hina Dhamma Yava Nibbanato Mamam Nassantu Sabbadaeva Yatto Jato Bhave Bhave Ujjutitto Hatipanjo Salleko Viriyavamina Maralabhantu Nokatham Katunca Viriyesu Me Buddhadi Pavaro Natho Dhammo Natho Aruttamo Natho Pacceka Sambuddho Sangho Natho Taro Mamam Kesottamanubhavena Maroka Sanglamantu Ma. These fellows also come to share the merit. You know here, stanza number 3. Yamo mitta manusacha, Yama. You invite the king of the hell also to share the merit. One who has composed these gathas, I think has done very wisely, Because if we happen to go, we can tell him, can't you remember every day we invited you to share the merit? Why not we have some sort of concession for me to go back earlier? He may consider. Very wisely. Okay, good night.